What's up, everybody? Scott Bunn here, episode 14 of Putting You in Your Place. Today, we have some news about Zillow. Is Zillow going to take my job? We're going to talk about that and a lot of other topics. And we want to thank everybody that's been watching. Thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And we're going to get into the show. Here we go.
My bad. I figured out what that was. I have the stream open in the background from where when I was sharing the link.
Yeah, you didn't mute that.
My bad. I usually do. I forgot it. My bad.
So,
Yeah,
hey.
I heard it and I was like, what is that? I was like, why do I hear it a second time?
Yeah. So I'm gonna just admit to clickbaity intro. The fear of what Zillow's doing. I'm excited to get to that topic, but that's gonna kind of be in the middle of what we're talking about today. So hang around for that because it's gonna get hot on that topic. I do want to remind everybody, kind of like, if this is something that you're watching for the first time and you're wondering who I am, I'm a real estate agent here in Blacksburg, Virginia. I'm a RE/MAX Hall of Famer. I will have completed my 13th year in the business at the end of October. So, I'm a couple generations deep. The statistics say that there's 80% turnover in this industry. Every 5 years, there's a new generation of realtors coming through. So I've survived a few generations now, and I've got a lot of experience with sales and marketing, and I've learned a lot about advertising and branding. And I just think that, we've accomplished a lot, and we've still got so much to go. So that's a little bit who I am. I'm super ambitious. I'm trying to affect change here in the community. I'm trying to set up a platform with these guys here. So we've got a lot of great ideas that we're trying to execute on, and I've got a lot of great experience in the space that I'm currently in. So that's a little bit about who I am. Weston, tell them a little bit of your background too.
Ooh, okay. Let's see. So I have been doing photography for like 5 years. Yeah. Been doing marketing for like 6 years, through like DECA and school and stuff. Competed nationally for DECA with my school. Went to like California, Tennessee, stuff like that. Right. Also, I'm an Eagle Scout, so I've been doing that since I was like in first grade. So I don't know, how old are you in first grade? Like 6? Yeah. So that a long time. Right. We'll just say a long time. I don't know how long that's been, but this has been a long time. Right. But yeah, that's sort of like my background.
And the reason why we connected was our job post kind of hit you on like what your ambition was going to be with content creation. Yeah. Right. So we got somebody that's been very ambitious in content creation. We've got somebody that's had success in real estate sales and also has a passion for content creation. And we just want to be, I guess what we've been coached to be is the knowledge broker of our community in what's going on in the world with real estate and business and just like political, like geopolitical situations. Like, putting our perspective on things is a big goal of ours with this show. So I just wanted to reintroduce ourselves and give you an idea of what this is supposed to be, because every single week we redefine what this is going to be, and we evolve and we debate and we talk about things about the direction of what this show is going to be and what it could be, and like using examples of other creators and Joe Rogan and Gary Vee and like all these people that inspire us are the reasons that we're here. So I just wanted to be vulnerable for a second, tell you who I was and what I've been up to and what our goals are with this show, so you guys have a little bit more understanding of who we are and what we're trying to accomplish. So, all right, kick us off.
All right. So this is gonna be a very long podcast. Yeah. There's a ton of stuff going on in the world right now. Right. So, last week we talked about investors, or I guess like landlords being scared that they're gonna like lose their houses because of this whole eviction crisis coming up. So right now, people who have a lot of capital that are ready to invest are waiting, or at least the NAR is saying they're waiting at the moment to jump next year on all these single family homes that are getting ready to hit the market. Because, so let's throw out some stats right here. There are 3.5 million home loans. It's about they said about 7% that are in like forbearance as of like September 6th.
Yeah.
That's a lot of people in like home loans that are in forbearance. On top of another 1 million people that are behind on their mortgages that don't have forbearance. So that's about 4.5 million people that are behind and might not be able to catch back up next year, because we don't know when everything's going to go back to normal.
Right.
So if at the beginning of next year nothing's set in place, all these single family homes might go up for sale. So investors are getting ready to like buy those up because they're going to be super cheap.
So the vultures are coming out. The vultures are getting ready to fly, it sounds like.
Yeah.
You know, and that's just the nature of the game. You know, the people that get prepared for crisis typically thrive during them. You know, and that's just been throughout history. You know, most of people that generate generational wealth take advantage of when the world is actually for sale, during the chaos, during the uncertainty, during the fear. So this is certainly something that I would love to be prepared for myself, you know, to be able to not only buy these properties, but handle the listings of the properties. And I want to make a message to any of my clients. You know, I've done 500 transactions in my career, if not more. And I'm bad at keeping track of those types of numbers, but I would say that's probably around the number. But if anybody within the New River Valley here that I've had opportunity to serve, if you get put in a tough spot, then please don't hesitate to contact me and let me know that you have these situations going on. I'm only here to help. There's no judgment here. If you're in a tough spot, let me know about it so I can help you get out of that spot. You know, to lessen the financial burden that might be coming your way due to this situation. Because there's always multiple amount of plans until you get put up against the wall and you have nowhere else to go. So don't let yourself get there. Number one, use me as the resource for those troubling times with your real estate needs. Contact me, okay?
Are you ready to buy up like these homes if they do come on the market?
I would be in a great position to do some stuff like that. You know, we're in the middle of like shuffling some things around now too. So financially, you know, if real estate sales declined, then opportunity to buy would go up. And I'm partners with my family. So me and my mom and my dad, we've created a company, and we have positioned ourselves throughout their lifetime of working, and then my success as a real estate agent to be able to be prepared for a shift in the market.
Nice. That's smart.
Yeah.
So last time we talked about how a bunch of people have earned a bunch of equity in their homes. So if something like this does happen, that they're going to be okay. I actually found some hard numbers after we did that show. Like, I think it was like the day after.
Right.
So on average, across everywhere in the United States, except for, I think it was like North Dakota, people saw an uptrend in their equity. So it was about an average of like $9,800 in quarter two.
Yeah.
So that was like what? It's like March to June, something like that, somewhere around there. So Montana saw the most. They saw $28,000 in equity on average across their state.
Wow.
So I wonder if that has something to do with them not having income tax. So I don't know if does that have any kind of like play in that?
No, I don't think so.
So I know there's a lot of money shifting through Montana because there's a whole thing with like LLCs pay like a flat rate there. So there's a lot of money in there. So there's a lot of people going to Montana right now.
Right.
But Virginia saw an average in like $14,000 in equity across the state, which I thought was pretty good. We're above the average for the country.
I mean, remember the story I told you about the client that I had that bought a house for $315,000 and then sold a house 12 months later for $355,000?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like unbelievable.
Yeah, it's pretty great actually. So, but do you think $9,800 is enough to save people from like a correction?
All right, so what you're saying is 1 year's worth of growth versus the entire equity that they've got.
Yes.
So the entire equity of what they got, what I've been told, they've got more than 50% of what the house is actually worth. So if my parents, they own their house, they only owe $100, it's actually worth $250.
Yeah.
So they could survive even if they didn't go to the bank for equity. They could sell the house, and they would have 5 years of rental money plus living expenses, and if they lost their jobs, and then they would be at retirement age at that point.
What if they bought the house at the beginning of this pandemic?
So if they bought they would be screwed. They would not, the equity, the projection of the equity that they have now is super unknown. So if they bought their house in February, would they expect the same return next February? They cannot expect the same return next February.
Gotcha.
They can't expect a 10% growth between February of 2020 and February of 2021. Those days, unfortunately, are over for now. Mm-hmm. So, everybody's projecting like negative return right now. So, like
gotcha.
the equity turn is going down. We've had such a large peak though that it's just inevitable. Mm-hmm. Like the pandemic certainly hyper, whatever the word is, like it definitely made the valley happen faster.
Yeah.
But it was coming. It was coming. Either way.
I think if the pandemic didn't happen and for some odd reason we saw this sort of growth, I think the downfall for like what could be next year wouldn't be as great. But I think with this whole like eviction crisis and all this other stuff going on, I think is what's causing it to look like it's going to be like a huge recession.
Sure.
But I got it wrong. It was South Dakota and a few other states too. Like I think that's Mississippi, West Virginia, Maine, and whatever that other one is. I always forget those. I always get those two mixed up between New Hampshire and Vermont.
I mean, $29,000 in equity in 1 year. Or 20, what'd you say? 29,000?
It's 29,000 for Montana.
Yeah.
But look at that whole area right there.
Yeah.
It's like 20,000, 29,000, 21,000.
The explosion of growth.
Oregon's not doing so hot though.
Right.
But
okay. Even Florida's on the rise.
Yeah, 10,000. Hawaii's 11,000. A lot of people. I mean, there's a lot of money in real estate in Hawaii though.
Oh yeah.
So that makes sense.
Definitely.
But 20,000 in Arizona though, pretty interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah. So next year, so I'm still kind of skeptical because I keep seeing all these articles about like it's just like one thing after the other, just things stacking on top of each other where I'm like, oh my God, we're in trouble. So like this thing that I saw from Citi, like last week, they're gonna offer $1 billion to the Black community, which is great. I'm 100% for it.
Yeah.
But there's one part in it that I'm kind of like, I want to know how they're doing it, just so that way I know, like, okay, is the real estate market going to crash because of this or not? So I'm going to break down like where all this money is going. So there's $550 million to support home ownership for people of color and affordable housing for minority developers. So that's like over half their budget going right there. Right, that's the part that I want to talk about. But here's where the other parts are going. So they're going to allocate $350 million to for opportunities for Black-owned businesses and like their suppliers. They're going to offer $50 million in additional impact investing capital for Black entrepreneurs. $100 million is going to support minority depository institutions in growth and revenue generation. And then there's going to be $100 million in a Citi Foundation grants to support community change agents addressing racial equality. So
sounds reasonable to me.
Yeah, I mean there's a lot of great stuff in there. They're trying to like boost business in Black communities, which is great. The part that I'm concerned about is the $550 million to support home ownership for people of color. So the reason that I'm worried about that is because just when you look at general statistics, there's a lot of lower income areas have a bunch of like people in the Black community, Hispanic community, those kind of communities, the minorities. So I'm totally for it, but how are they doing it? Are they going to give them fixed rate mortgages? Are they just going to give them money to buy the houses? If they give them money to buy the houses, how are they going to maintain the houses? Because if they might buy one that's out of their budget, it's obviously the utilities and everything of maintaining that house is going to go up. Yeah. So like, I just want to know, I'm for it. I just want to know how they're doing it to protect themselves.
We need to look into that and report on that a little bit more, I think. This just feels like some government incentive that has spurred this opportunity through this lending institution.
Yeah.
So like I definitely want to get deep on that and like talk more about that in future shows. But I don't know anything about it either. Well,
I mean, this was just like a blip that showed up in Morning Brew, and then I went to Citi's website to read more on it.
Yeah.
And they're doing a lot of great things. in the Black community to help push like business development in those communities. Yeah. It's just the home ownership is what I'm worried about, because back in 2008, banks gave a lot of people fixed rate mortgages that were like lower income areas, and they went and got these really nice houses, but then...
You mean adjustable rates?
Adjustable rates, yeah. And then the rates went up, and then they couldn't pay for it.
Yeah, the adjustable rate needs to stay. I mean, that does not need to be a program that they're pushing. You know, they need solid fixed rate 30-year, 15-year mortgages. They need to have decent qualification standards. There needs to be job opportunities. That's number one. So the grant that goes to the job opportunities is then going to spur the housing opportunity.
Right.
You know, so there's some stat out there that for every couple of jobs, I have to research this one, but for every couple of jobs, then that means there's one homeowner. It might be 2 or 3. For every 3 jobs, there's like one homeowner. I'll have to look that stat up, but that's definitely true.
Yeah, so that would mean some homes have a person that's working 2 jobs, and then there's another person working 1 job, assuming that they live together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I just want to know more about like how they're doing that, and I'm going to like keep my eye out for it to see if I see anything.
Keep on that, for sure.
Yeah, if I see anything in Yahoo Finance, I'll like bring it back up. But like, even if they gave them a 30-year fixed rate mortgage, like maybe they are going to tell them like, you can't use this money for a house worth more than X, to make sure, like they'll probably analyze their finances to see where money's going, and then they can determine what kind of house they can buy based on like insurance, utilities, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. So I'm hoping that that's what they do, so that way you don't see this happen.
Right.
But, you know, so like that's what I'm hoping that they're going to do. But like usually when it comes to these big corporations, a lot of things get missed in terms of like these transactions with a bunch of people. So that's, you know, I don't know what's going to happen there. I saw that and I was like, okay, I'm for it, but how are they doing it? And they never really explained how they were doing it on their website. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm sure more will come out. But I think the incentive behind this came from a Wells Fargo thing that happened like a week ago or a couple weeks ago. Their CEO came out and said, like, they were talking about how there wasn't a majority of like people, like of minorities, to go into management positions. And he was saying the pool was slim. And it's like, everyone was like, what? Why would you say that? And then they started attacking him. So he like started doing all these incentives. And then you see these other banks like Citi doing it. And I think there's another bank working on it too, like their own incentive. I don't know. I have an email that lists out all the banks doing things.
I'm interested next week when Derek comes in about his take on this. You know,
on the Wells Fargo thing?
Well, just on the banking, this whole thing in general. Oh, yeah. Like, you know, that community certainly needs more opportunities. They need jobs. They need to be able to create jobs. They need these things for sure. But at what point does it become like, I need to think this out before I say it, but it's like they need to qualify for this stuff. They need to have a standard of like how to qualify for this, and they meet these standards. Like that's the whole point, right? Like they can't just be handing this out because of they being a minority that's been, you know, disenfranchised forever. Mm-hmm. They have to have real opportunities. They have to be able to pay these loans back. They have to be able to do the things that they say they're going to do. You know, they just can't be passing this money out.
You don't want to like spoon feed them, because then it could lead to
all
like
kinds of defaults.
Downfall.
Yeah.
So, you know, it goes back to like that old saying where they like give a man a fish, feed him for a day, teach a man the fish, feed him for his life.
Perfect.
So, you know, it's like you want to teach them how to do this responsibly if they are going to implement this, so that way in the future they don't default back to where they are right now, like what's happening right now.
Exactly.
So, you know, I'm totally for it. They just need to make sure that they have a Citi. You know, I do bank with Citi. I have their double cash card. So I know that they're a smart company. They just need to make sure that this is like going to be solid.
Right. Yeah, we definitely need to retouch on that as things become more clear.
Yeah, I got like a whole email with some stuff that I want to talk to Derek about. So I want to make some questions, and I'll put this in there too. But yeah, so along with these people helping people buy homes, we see these condos. There's a condo resurgence. So it's kind of weird. I can't really get a grasp on what's going on in the condo like world where they're selling condos. Because so what I'm seeing is first-time home buyers are buying them up, but there's still a lot of them on the market. Like there's like versus like a single-family home.
Yeah.
So
well,
what are your thoughts on that?
So here locally, if we're just talking Blacksburg, which holds 95% of all condos in the New River Valley, there's, last time I checked, which was a couple of days ago, there was 4 units available. 4.
Wow.
So that's nothing. That's
in the whole New River Valley?
In the whole, I mean, the town of Blacksburg.
Okay.
But that represents 95% of all condos.
That's fair.
That aren't public, low income housing. The condos that are available for people of means and like just the average median incomes. What happened to the condos, and the reason why it was so tough is because back in 2008, there was so many people that had them, they went back into default, and they provided protections that it couldn't have a certain percentage of investment where like me and you couldn't go buy one if it had a certain amount of investment. So if one landlord had 90 units out of 10,
okay,
or out of 100, the landlord had 90 units, right?
Okay.
Me and you can't buy one because if he defaults on 90, then he just screwed you.
Yeah. Okay.
Out of the one, right?
I gotcha. Yep.
So that was the problem. But now, since the times are good and these protections are being rolled back, then me and you have more opportunity to go get loans for these condos.
Okay.
And lenders will lend us money because they're more confident in the situation.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
So that's the condo resurgence, is we now as individuals have the opportunity to go get them. Where if they were investor held at a certain percentage, we had no opportunity to get it.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So why are some of them still staying on the market then if it's getting easier for us to buy them?
Well, number one,
People just
the
scared.
price per square foot, especially here in Blacksburg, is expensive.
Yeah.
They can go get a 4-bedroom townhouse in Christiansburg for less money.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what the dynamic is here, is that the more populated area, which is surrounding and in great proximity to Virginia Tech, is in higher demand. And the more budgeted people, the more practical people that don't necessarily need that walking to everything lifestyle will be able to just go to Christiansburg and commute. So that's probably what's happening in a lot of like heavy metropolitan areas that are, densely populated versus the outskirts and the suburbs of that particular place. You're probably seeing that across the board.
Gotcha. So like if a first-time home buyer was to walk in here right now and was like, I want to buy a condo, would you tell them, yeah, go buy one of the 4 in Blacksburg, or would you point them towards Christiansburg to buy a townhouse?
Well, I would say if the condo and the lifestyle you're looking for is it's necessary, it's 100% super necessary for you to be downtown, then what's your budget?
Yeah.
And if they tell me the budget that is in line with what the product is available, then we go to Christiansburg, or we go to downtown Blacksburg. But if their budget is not able to afford the product available in downtown Blacksburg, then we've got to expand the search and the product availability of like what is available in your budget.
Yeah.
So that's
So the price or the budget for like downtown Blacksburg, is that like around like 400,000 from what I've been seeing, around 400,000?
I mean, there's 1-bedroom studio condos for 225,000.
Wow, in downtown Blacksburg?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but that's 1 bedroom.
Yeah.
You've got just like on the outskirts, Knollwood. There's some Knollwood condos that are 2 bedrooms with a loft, which is pretty much a 3-bedroom unit for $225. But they're only like 1,200 square feet, so they're like really dormitory style bedrooms and not big living areas. Like it's pretty much a dorm that's just like 2 miles off campus. Pretty much.
So I've never lived in a condo before. Are there utilities like included with the building, or do you pay your own utilities?
HOA will handle some of like the water and the sewer and the trash and common area maintenance for the most part. And then you're on the hook for the power and the internet and all the other things.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, speaking of HOAs, there are a lot more people living in HOAs now than there ever have been in like the history of like what has been recorded.
Yeah.
So right now there's like 73.9 million, so we'll round up, we'll say there's 74 million Americans residing in HOAs or whatever a condominium board is. Does that have anything to do with condos? Or?
Yeah, it's just the pretty much the corporation that's set up and the people that get elected to that corporation.
Gotcha.
They get to make the decisions.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So California, by no surprise to me, they're leading the nation with HOAs. There's 49,200 associations in California itself.
Wow.
So
that's crazy.
So what is a HOA?
It's a homeowners association.
Okay,
it's the oversight of the community.
Yeah, my bad. I realized that we kept saying HOA and never
right.
told them what it was. I live in an HOA myself. I'm gonna admit right now, I hate it. Yeah. They suck. Like, I don't know how we're paying them probably like $30-$40 a month. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
Nothing. Roads are terrible. We had to go ourselves to the town of Blacksburg and be like, we need this hole fixed in our drive, or not in our driveway, but in the road leading into our neighborhood. It's terrible. I don't like it, but.
Yeah. I mean, you get sold on I don't have to do anything on the outside of my home. For me, we were joking. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to mow the grass. I don't even want to check my mail. Like, just somebody bring me in the mail.
Dude, our HOA doesn't even do that.
Right.
People pay these freelance like lawnmowers, those like businesses to go and mow their lawns like every week.
So there's different HOAs though. There's an HOA. There's an HOA that's for common area maintenance only. There's an HOA that is actually going to come in and mow your yard and pressure wash your siding and replace your roof and that type stuff. And then there's like snow removal and like leaf removal. So those are the two different types.
Okay.
And some HOAs are just set up for like pre-construction stormwater drainage, and that's usually just like a small nominal yearly fee. But you do have different levels of HOAs. So like, I can't
even think of like what ours would be.
Like, do they actually come and mow your yard and shovel? So you don't have the real involved HOA.
Yeah, I think the only thing our HOA is there for is to defer people from buying in that area that don't want to pay HOA fees. So I mean, like, the only thing that they really do is they tell you what you can and cannot build in your neighborhood.
Gotcha. So like fencing and stuff like that?
Not so much fencing. It's more of like, you can't put up like a shed. Like, you can't just go to like your Home Depot and buy one of those like makeshift sheds and like stick it.
What subdivision are you in?
Sterling Manor, right near Cox Driving Range.
Okay.
So houses there don't go up for sale that often. So most people don't know where that is.
Right.
But like, I mean, even still, they're like, one of the houses down the street is being rented out to like college students. Like, they're not disruptive or anything, but I'm just like, I feel like an HOA would prevent that from happening. They would be like, no, you can't rent this out. You need to sell it. So, or they just don't know, and maybe I should tell them. But, I mean, I'm not going to tell them right now because finding a college dorm at Virginia Tech is very hard right now. So I'm going to let them live their year out there, but then I might bring it up later.
Right.
But so in 2019, there were 351,000 HOA communities. Now there's 354,000. So in a year, it increased by 3,000.
Wow.
So, and 70% are satisfied with HOAs. I am in that 30% that is not satisfied with the HOA. But actually, I was looking at a house in Christiansburg. I don't remember where it was, but it was like, the house was probably around $169,000. So when you worked it out, it was about $700 a month, without the utilities and all that stuff. But like, it had an HOA fee tacked onto it, and it was like $604. I'm like, holy crap, that's like almost as much as the house itself. So they must be one of those like super involved HOAs, or at least I hope they would be for that price. But it's about, here's how much money is going through these HOAs right now. So, there's some that are super involved, some that are not, but there's $96 billion in assessments collected annually from homeowners associations.
Wow.
$96 billion.
Wow, that's a big business.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder if you can capitalize on that. Like, can you own a bunch of HOA things for neighborhoods?
Well, local property management people bid on HOAs all the time to run them for profit. What they do is they get in there after the initial period's over. The property developer will then just kind of shop it out for the the property owners association will shop it out from the original owner that built the subdivision. Then these private companies will bid on them. And then the lowest bid wins. And what they end up doing is they end up coming in, they assess the actual account, and then they usually increase the dues, because they have to have a management fee.
Right.
So, you're thinking that 20% probably goes to the bottom line. So 20% of the money you come out of every month is going to their bottom line in their pocket.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So
20% of that, what is 20% of that number? What did you say the number was?
96 billion.
So 20% is the bottom line of that number. That's the profit.
Yeah. So like if you owned all of that 96 billion, that would be a lot of money.
Yeah.
But I mean, obviously not every. There's not just one. That would be a monopoly.
That's what's allocated as profit. That's what's allocated as profit. That's a lucrative business for sitting in your office, calling the lawnmower guys, calling the shovel guys to move the snow. You know, calling pretty much. You know, hiring out the things that you need and getting the best deal you can for your HOA, right?
Right.
So that's kind of what's going on.
I want to see what this number is. I'm gonna do that. 19.2 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's a $19 billion profit business throughout our country.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. Crazy.
That is crazy.
I kind of wish one of these property management companies would like come to our neighborhood and then like redo our HOA to where we get these benefits. Because
here's the thing, you have a property owners association, so the members of that can decide to do that. That's a private thing to do. So like our HOA is done. It's like the people that live in that neighborhood are the HOA. Exactly.
So I would have to go.
So y'all have to have a meeting.
Yeah.
And everybody has to decide on what to do.
I don't think they do meetings. Like I've never seen a piece of mail come through that's like we're having an HOA meeting, because I know for a fact that if they did, me and my dad would be there like immediately being like, you need to fix the freaking road.
Yeah.
So, you know, maybe that's something, you know,
here's the thing too, is you need to know if that's a state maintained road.
It is.
So if it's a state maintained road, that road has been given to the state, they need to come and fix it.
Yeah, that's the whole process we had to go through. We had to go to like the state eventually to tell them like we need this fixed.
Right.
So it was a terrible, terrible process, but we got it done.
Cool.
So
I'm getting eager for the Zillow. I'm getting eager for the Zillow thing. Where are we at? Are we gonna? We got any more to talk about here? Because I'm fired up about the Zillow thing.
Actually, someone in the stream said we don't have one. I honestly wish they would have someone just for the older people in my community who need help. So
HOA?
Yeah. Well, I guess I was Tiffany.
Okay. Yeah.
So,
I mean, it's hard.
What would they do
in that location where she's at? It'd be hard to organize. You know, these have to actually be set up at the conception of the development. For it to be a legal HOA, you can't just be like, hey guys, let's do an HOA. Not everybody has to participate at that point. When they conceptualize and actually move forward with the subdivision that they want to create, it has to be done at that point. So you can't just be like, let's organize an HOA on a pre-existing subdivision. That can't happen. And if it does happen, it's not legal, and you can't really enforce payment of that HOA. So just know that's the reason why you can't do that, is because it's not lawful currently.
Gotcha. Have you seen any people avoiding or not avoiding inspections, but just like saying they don't need an inspection for their house, so that way they can get in their homes faster? Recently,
I do see that.
Have you seen it recently?
I do. Yeah, I do see that. And you know, waiving the inspection is, you know, when I got to go into the bag for my best advice, right? My best advice is you don't buy a house without educating yourself about the house. So you cannot waive the inspection. Now, can you waive the property owner doing any repairs on what you find? You can do that. And you can have a clause in there that if it's beyond what you thought, like if the foundation's crumbling, and you didn't know that, like you wouldn't have known that because it's like a hidden part of the house, then you can just void the contract at that point. Or you can, like, before you dissolve the contract, you can be like, hey, these are the facts. Do you have an opportunity to negotiate with me, or do you want me to just walk away from this deal? Because when you get the seller wrapped up in that type of contract, and you actually provide knowledge of something that's in material defect, then they don't want to lose you. They know that they got to handle the situation anyway, and they're more apt to go ahead and go on with the deal than to dissolve the deal. The only time a deal falls through is if someone is fearful or it's not fair, okay? That's the only times the deals fall through. If you treat people fairly and they don't get afraid of something, you're going to close the deal, okay? That's the bottom line. That's the reason why 100% of the deals fall through. You know, minus they can't qualify and they thought that they could qualify.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
So take the lending part out. If you're a qualified buyer, the only time you're getting out of the deal is if you find a way to become afraid or you felt like you were treated unfairly. That's it. That's when the deals fall apart. And if you're treated unfairly, you're not buying it no matter what. You know? So, yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah, I was just curious because I know like a bunch of these like contractors are super booked up right now because if everyone wanted to change stuff in their house. So I was just curious.
Yeah.
All right. So
Zillow?
Yeah, this is a big one.
All
right. So before we like get into your bit, because I know you're like super passionate about this one, I'm gonna tell the viewers what Zillow's been doing, so that way they can understand how we got to this point where we're at right now.
Sure.
All right. So there's a few things that Zillow offers to agents that makes it super appealing for them to use them. So, and you know, just also for people that aren't realtors. So the people that aren't realtors can also use Zillow to like list their homes and stuff. And I'll tell you how. So Zillow offers a rental manager, and that lets tenants pay through Zillow, right? So if you own a rental property and you don't want to handle all the back end work, you just tell Zillow like, hey, I'm renting out this property, and Zillow takes care of it. So Zillow helps with like, I guess that would technically be what, property management, sort of, kind of, just like with the payments. So they offer a rental manager. They also offer Premier Agent for Zillow. That basically just like boosts people's listings so that way they're like on the front of everything. So like when you look at Zillow and you're looking at like the featured listings, I guess, or the ones that come up first, it's usually a Premier Agent that has paid for Zillow's Premier Agent program. Although there is a lawsuit going on with Premier Agent right now that's still kind of happening. I don't know where the progress is on it right now. But right now it's subject to several lawsuits because the advertising listing doesn't necessarily feature the listing agent, just the one who paid for the Zillow fee to appear on the ad. So there's a whole and it leads to confusion with the buyer. So there's a whole legal battle going on right there. So we'll see if Premier Agent sticks around or what kind of changes they make to it. But also, Zillow is buying up homes. So you can sell your house to Zillow, they'll buy it from you, and then they'll resell it themselves. So that way it basically just cashes out whoever's selling the home.
Yeah. Huge risk in that, by the way.
Yeah, so that's what it says is like homeowners ask the company to make instant cash offer on their property, and using the combination of algorithms, owner-supplied information, local real estate agent contacts, and physical inspections, the company makes an offer to buy the home. So they have like this like huge multi-step process that it goes through before they even buy it. I don't remember, there was a number on it that said how many they've bought. It was somewhere in like they've only done a few thousand of these. So it must be like a pretty new program. But let me see. I don't know where it is. It'll take me forever to find it. But so
in like 2 seconds, what's like the whole big thing? I'm having trouble grasping this.
Zillow's entered the brokerage space, and they think that Zillow is going to disrupt and put real estate agents out of business or significantly suppress the opportunity to earn commission.
Okay, so
yeah,
Zillow was just helping people find houses.
Well,
Zillow was a media company that actually helped boost our brand. Like we were able to develop our brand underneath Zillow, and Zillow kind of stepped out in front of us and captured all the leads and then distributed the leads.
What I'm saying right now is what Zillow offers. I'm telling you right now what they're offering, and then I was going to tell them that they're becoming a brokerage.
Oh, okay, I see.
So like they're offering rental management, they're buying properties, and then they have Premier Agents.
Yeah.
So now they're going to become a brokerage.
Gotcha.
These are the steps that they've taken to get to that point.
Yeah.
And by the end of 2020, they're going to have their brokerage license in all 50 states. Yeah. So by 2021, they're going to start this whole like being a brokerage program.
Yeah.
So they're offering the option for their employees to get their real estate license. So they'll pay for it and everything, and then you can go and work for Zillow and sell the homes that they're buying, basically, and selling.
Yeah.
So basically a monopoly.
It'll be well. Here's the thing: is Zillow's going to take my job just like the ATM took the bank teller's job? It's just not. It's not going to do it. Now, are some people going to go out of business because of Zillow and the strategies that they're playing? The people at the bottom.
Yeah.
The people that don't do this as a business, that just do it as a hobby, and they just like part-time it. You know, the part-time agent is going to the wayside. You know, what I've done to be who I am, just in case you don't know, is I've risked it all to be who I am. And I'm not going to just lay down and die because of Zillow. I'm going to evolve and adapt and continue to do what I love and continue to offer something different, be a step ahead, strategize against that. I'm in this every single day. It's if I'm awake, I'm working. Like that's what this is I am tirelessly getting up every day, whenever that might be, and I'm working until the time I go to bed, whenever that might be. And there's not any company that's going to be able to come in here and disrupt that type of agent, okay? There's very few of those agents. Now, are the commissions going to go down? Maybe. But if Zillow provides an opportunity that some customers want, it's going to be discount shop versus high quality versus high service.
Yeah.
So,
I'm thinking it's just going to be simplicity. Yeah. More or less. So
they're hoping for convenience. They're hoping that people are blind to the challenges of what the real estate sale is, and they just don't want the hassle, and they'll just sell it to this company for a discount and let them just deal with it.
Yeah. So from what I've seen in another business, so automotive sales, there are companies out there now
Carvana.
like Carvana.
Not everybody's shopping at Carvana.
Yeah. Well, their inventory is also very small because not a lot of people people have to sell their cars to Carvana before they buy it.
I don't think Sheeler Motor Mile has been affected currently by Carvana.
Not yet, because Carvana is like a fairly new company. I mean, they've been around for a little while, but like in the grand scheme of things, they're a lot younger than Sheeler Motor Mile.
I mean, I'll tell you, Sheeler doesn't have a product that I want. I mean, when I order my next car, we've talked about what that might be. We're not going to let that go yet.
No, don't tell them.
But we're gonna go directly to the website of the company, and we're going to special order, most likely. Yeah. Unless we find a good used one, And
now, I would say go to the dealership because of this kind of caliber of car. Yeah. Because usually the dealership
will give you video content. We'll go to the dealership to look at it.
They'll give you samples of like what's going to go inside of it, like the different kind of leathers. Right. This is what the paint looks like. This is what the carbon looks like if it has carbon. Right. So just little things like that. But basically, what I'm saying was, Carvana sells cars online. And now because of COVID, their business has picked up a little bit. But all you gotta do is hit a button, and because you could do a 360. View of the car, and like they point out every little imperfection of it. They point to where the dents are, where the paint chips are, what kind of problems it might have. Usually they don't have that many mechanical problems because they go through an inspection first before they sell them. And if they're not to the standard of their website, they'll just sell them to like a dealer. So which is why some dealers are still doing their thing, but people only have to hit a button and it shows up at their house in like less than a week. Because they do it based on location. So you don't get to see all of their cars, but you get to see the ones that are close to you. Yeah. So basically with Zillow, what they could do is they could say, this is the house that you want to buy, get pre-approved, and just hit a button. And then they have an agent that just takes care of it on the back end. Yeah. And then walks you through the whole process. You might not even see an agent. They might just ship you a key and then you go into your new house. Right. It could be that easy. I don't know. Yeah. Because we're moving into a digital age.
Right. And we haven't even, whatever this might be, I think blockchain is the real threat. Blockchain is probably the real threat in the situation. We can talk about that at another time. I just think Zillow, as the topic that we're talking about right now, Zillow is not going to disrupt the top producer real estate agent from surviving. We can survive that wave. And as a top producer too, someone that's running a business, you're always like strategizing, you're always paying attention to things. You hope that you have an open mind. I hope that I have an open mind, and the strategies that got me here, like I had to be aware of what's going on around me to be able to be here. Yeah. To be able to get to where I am. I had to be a step ahead of people. I had to do some things. I had to shift in a couple ways here or there, and now we're here. So I hope that as I age, for at least the next 15 years, I can still have the mental capacity to be open-minded in that way, to know how my business needs to evolve. Yeah. And if you're complacent and that's just how it's done and that's how I'm going to do it, then you are vulnerable in that situation.
Yeah. you can even take that even farther to like the top CEOs of like the world, basically, like Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, those guys. Like their thing, they always say, all of them collectively are always like, never stop learning, because the moment you stop learning is the moment you stop progressing.
Yeah.
Right? So.
You know who should run the world right now?
Oh, I don't know.
Xerox and Kodak.
Why Kodak?
Kodak had huge market share of their cameras. Mm-hmm. They had these disposable cameras. They had camera technologies. If they would have been in front of the phone revolution, they could have taken their camera, patented that into every single phone in the world. Xerox gave all of their intellectual property to computer companies. Xerox and Kodak should rule the world. You know, I know that's off script, but you know, like that's like these companies that don't have the ability to evolve. You know, I'll wrap it back into that. Those companies should really be, if they had the wherewithal to evolve their model, mm-hmm. and not just say, well, we're a camera company and that's it, then their stock wouldn't be $4 per share today. You know?
That's true. So, well, it went up because I think.
Well, either way, it's a penny stock.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it went up like significantly a while ago. I don't know what it's at now, but it's because they signed a deal with the government to shift one of their manufacturing plants to produce some like new chemical for the COVID vaccine.
Okay, that's weird.
So it was weird. I mean, was it Kodak? Yeah, I think it was Kodak, because Kodak's the one in Rochester, I'm pretty sure.
I'm not sure. I just know they're a camera company that used to be like a blue chipper.
Yeah, well, I mean, it went up. It might have gone back down to penny stocks, but I mean, at one point it went up. It's like you look at the graph, it's like super flat, and then all of a sudden there's a huge peak, and then it like probably toppled back down. Yeah. But
so that's Zillow. That's my take on that. Like, I don't, I am paying attention. I am mindful of what they're doing. I care about what they're doing. They're kind of positioning themselves against us. But am I going to let that stop me? Am I going to sit down and cry about it? I'm not going to sit down and cry about it. We got to just keep moving, keep innovating. Us realtors need to come together, and we need to create products and technologies that benefit us, that no one else has access to, other than the consumer benefiting from those tools and systems. So that's what really needs to happen. And if we're going to survive the disruption of our industry, the leadership needs to come out with that platform.
Yeah.
So
I would watch what Zillow's doing, and then, because like I would say this for anyone in any kind of business of anything, like all over the world, just take whoever the industry leader is, look at what they're doing. Don't look at like what they're producing. Don't copy what they're doing. Look at how they're doing it. When you look at how they're doing it, then model your business into how they're doing it, not what they're doing, how they're doing it.
Yeah.
So,
I think Jeff Bezos had a quote of, people get wrapped up in focusing on their competitor so much that they forget about the consumer. That if we all keep the consumer first in this situation, and we are at the delight of the consumer, and the consumer has a great experience, and they trust the situation, you're going to win no matter what your competition's doing.
Yeah. So to combine both of those things, so Zillow's trying to make it easier for the customer to buy a home, right? Because like you just go to their website, everything's taken care of. But like whenever you go to a realtor, you have to find the realtor that you want to work with. Then you got to go and see all these properties with them in person, and then you got to there's like a bunch of these processes. So what realtors could do is they could shift their business more into what Zillow's doing and try to streamline as much of the process online. So all the consumer has to do when they're looking for a new house is they just go to this one website, ideally your website, and then they just hit a button like, I want this house, and then you walk them through the process. And like it's just like the website takes them through the whole thing.
Yeah, but do we really feel like the majority of the consumer, are they gonna make a purchasing decision of that magnitude by not walking in the house?
Well, that's where virtual tours are coming in, because like you're starting to see a lot more of these higher end homes do the video.
I could be wrong. In the comments, who watching this, who stumbles across this, give me feedback if you would buy a house and you didn't actually open the door and walk in the door. Let us know that feedback. We're interested. Like, who would actually be willing to buy a house that they've seen online if they still went through a home inspection, everything was the same, other than you. The first time you walk through the door is the day you actually signed for the deal and you got the key. I don't think I would. I am to the point where in my life I still need to feel it. I need to like get the energy of it. I need to be in the space. I need to be able to feel the space in the way that I would live in it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know, but like, so maybe that could be Zillow's downfall, is like people just don't want to buy a home like that. And then, you know, but like at the same time, I don't really know what they're doing. They could just be expanding their business. So if you wanted to start a brokerage, you just do it through Zillow, maybe. But I mean, going back to like, I guess the car thing, like for me and my dad, we both differ on the way that we want to buy cars. Because I was telling him like I would be 100% comfortable buying a car from Carvana, because I know that the quality of car that they're pushing through their website is going to be like the utmost.
And they have a 7-day return policy.
And they have a return policy. So like if I didn't like it, I could say I don't like this car. Of course, I wouldn't get my old car back that, you know, if you traded it in, but like
you'd be picking out another one.
You'd be picking out another one, yeah. Hopefully in the same price range.
Right.
But like, so like a house, I guess for me it would depend on the caliber of house. If the house was like $1 million plus, I'd feel comfortable buying it online because I know that that's like a super high quality home. But if I'm buying like a $80,000 house, I would want to go see it in person. So at the same time, it depends on who I'm working with and the quality of the thing that I'm buying.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but that's what I would say to all the agents, is to watch Zillow, see how they're doing it, and try to restructure their business that way.
Like I said, I think Zillow is going to be the discount Walmart. And I think the top producers that, and you know, everybody's vulnerable. I mean, if you're not doing the branding necessary for your business, I don't care if you've sold 150 deals the last 12 months. If you're not doing the right things for your brand, then you are disruptible. If you know, people have to know who you are outside of the people that you actually know. You need to gain fame by the things that you do in this industry, so people know who you are. We have very little mind space for things like this. So, yeah.
But speaking of companies changing what they're doing, Tesla made a huge stride the other day with their cars. So
Battery day, right?
Battery day. Unfortunately, didn't really help my stock out that much, but you know, I was expecting, you know, go up by $100. Ideally, you know, didn't do that, obviously.
I mean, when they announced they're going to have a $25,000 car in the next 3 years, you'd think that'd pump it.
Yeah, it's probably because it's not ready yet. Well, I mean, I know, so a huge scare with the battery day was people were expecting this 1,000,000-mile battery, and like they never said 1,000,000-mile battery, but like if you add up like all of the concepts of what they're doing, they technically do have a 1,000,000-mile battery for like their semi-truck, I think is what I picked up on. Just because it's going to have a bunch of batteries, so, but like it's going to have like this huge battery, but it's like the 1,000,000-mile battery. That's not practical. Everyone's not going to be driving a freaking Tesla semi-truck, but you know. So technically they did do that, and that's why the stock tanked, because they didn't talk about it. But first, before I tell you how Tesla's changing up their things, we have to learn basically how a battery works. Do you kind of know how a battery works?
Yeah, I think so.
So basically it's like, there's a cathode, there's an anode, and then there's an electrolyte in the middle. It's basically just a chemical reaction. So I have this little diagram right here from a YouTube video that I was watching, because I was trying to learn about the Tesla's old battery versus their new battery.
Right.
So this is how their old battery worked. So see these two like circle things with the tabs?
Yeah.
So those are the tabs. That's how the power is transferred through the battery to wherever it's going. And then this right here, that was aluminum, and then this is, I think this is copper. So basically, they'll like basically put lithium on this aluminum, right? And it does a chemical reaction when both sides are like, when you create a current through both sides, and then sorry, so the ions or I can't talk. Basically, there's a chemical reaction that happens with lithium, and then the lithium atom goes through the electrolyte, but it's positive.
More research to be done on YouTube.
What the heck is the word? No, it's anyways, the ion gets separated from the atom itself, and it goes through the electrolyte.
Okay.
And then that ion goes through the current to the other side, and the other side has graphite in it. So, and then they meet back there where the graphite is. So that's how power is generated through the cell.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, I'll need that tutorial and another video.
So, okay, so like let's see. Oh, electron. That's the word I was looking for. All right. So, of course, it's on this. So basically take this right here. So you have your aluminum and your copper, right? And then this is it blown up, so that way you can see the smaller thing that's going on inside of it. Yeah. So that gray piece in the middle is the electrolyte, right? And then this is the lithium. And then the lithium atom travels through the electrolyte, but it separates the electron. And then the electron goes back out this side and around to the other side and meets back in the graphite. So that's kind of how this works on like a more simplified terminology, I guess.
Okay.
So, and then when you charge it at AC, you've probably heard AC power.
Yeah.
That's alternating current.
Yeah.
So then the current changes this and it reverses the process. So it recharges the battery. But when you do this a bunch of times, the battery degrades. So now we get into what Tesla's doing. So, oh, that's the wrong thing. All right, let me pull this back over to my screen so I can read it easier. All right, so Teslas are having tabless batteries now. So those 2 tabs that we just mentioned, they're removing them. They're not there anymore. So because of that, they can fit so much more into this small battery. So it's smaller and they can fit more into it, meaning that they can put more in their Tesla cells. So a bunch of these batteries are going in there. What does that mean? They cost less, they're more efficient, and they can transfer energy better. So all of that combined means that their Teslas can now travel farther, basically.
Yeah.
So their new Tesla Model S now has, their top of the line ones like the P100D. It's got like the plaid mode and all this other stuff. It can travel, I think they said like 520 miles now on a single charge.
It's a game changer.
Yeah. So super, super crazy. But like we've never seen a leap in battery technology. So the electrode that I was just talking about, the electrolyte in the middle of the battery, usually whenever that process is done, it's a wet process. So they mix it together, and you mix it with water and all the other stuff to mix up the electrode. And then it's a wet process, and then they dry it and turn it into a small sheet. Now they've taken out that wet process and turned it into a dry process. So they basically just press it, and the friction is so tough that it on the outside comes like a sheet of this, so they can put it in their battery and wrap it up. So they've turned the wet process into a dry process. So right now they're saying it's not like super streamlined, not super efficient yet, but they're still working on it. So in the future, it will be more efficient because there's less wait time, and you can just kind of like stick it in and it comes back out instead of having to wait for it to heat up and dry and all this other kind of stuff. So ideally it's going to be better, and I'm sure I'm like butchering this, but like
makes sense to me.
In the simple terms, it's like it's going to be an easier process, and it's supposed to reduce their footprint, or like their environmental footprint, by 10 times.
I mean, like I said, Tesla is going to have a major issue when they start dumping these batteries in the landfills.
Yeah.
When they expire, and where are they going to go? How Tesla needs to innovate that. They need to innovate batteries.
With these more efficient batteries, they've bought themselves a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But even still, like, yeah, I totally agree. I don't know where they're going to go. They're just going to shoot them into space. They got rockets. They could just shoot them at the sun. You know, you put a bunch of them.
Start. Once they realize that they can't do something on Mars, then Mars is just our new dump site.
Yeah. Hopefully that's not like immediate, but like
right.
In like we're talking like millions of years, hopefully. So. They have also are changing the cathode material inside of the battery. So remember the aluminum that they put the lithium on?
Yeah.
That they put the lithium on. So right now they're trying to, sorry, I just lost my train of thought. They're putting the lithium on a different kind of metal. So they were looking at different metals. They were looking at iron, but iron isn't as efficient. They were looking at cobalt. Cobalt, when you pull it out of the ground, is like super bad for the environment. So they're working on nickel, and then this nickel is going to be put in, I think it was like their, oh wait, actually, no, I have a graph. Hold on. I have another graph. All right, so this is where the nickel is going. So the nickel cathode in the battery is going to go in their semi truck and their Cybertruck, because those are supposed to travel the farthest for the longest. So because of that, they're getting all nickel cathodes in their batteries. And then whenever you look at the other cars, like their Model S, their Model X, I think that's a Model Y. And then this is the power packs that go in your houses when you get the solar panels. Those are all going to have like a nickel mixed up with a magnesium. So it's going to be more cost effective to do it that way, because nickel is still kind of expensive. So it's going to be a little more cost effective. And then all their lesser cars, I guess this is some sort of generator for like a solar field. And then I think this is the Model 3, and then that's their $25,000 car. So all of those are going to just have straight iron-based batteries for their cathodes.
Gotcha.
So, but yeah, so that's what they're doing with nickel, and it's supposed to create that million-mile battery. So,
Sweet.
Yeah, and that's how they're going to do the $25,000 car too. So they have a better process for making their batteries, their tablets. They can make more. They can hold more power, essentially, and then they can drive farther. So all of these things combined is what's going to get them to the $25,000 car. But the problem that they had before was they couldn't reach that $25,000 mark because all of these processes were super expensive, and there's been no process or progression on these batteries in like years. So now they're doing it.
What I'm interested to see is how, when they deliver a car that's so cheap, that's so technologically advanced, that is gonna get upgrades and updates, through an internet connection and things like that. It's like Apple wants you to buy a new phone every year. When does the new Tesla product get traded? And when you trade in your old Tesla product to get your new Tesla product, like they're almost like you get to buy this one time and you don't ever have to buy anything else again if you don't want to. I mean, some people will always want change, but they're diminishing the opportunity for people wanting to upgrade to the new model, which in their business model isn't great for them. It's great for the consumer though.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering how they're going to remain profitable over time when they're given updates through internet connections, and they're putting so much technological advanced equipment in the car that you don't need the new version.
It has to do with the hardware in the car, because when the Model S first came out, it had, I think it was called, it's like AV1, which is Autopilot version 1. But Autopilot version 2 and 2.5 have different hardware inside the car. So if you wanted the more advanced,
Can't you just pull the hardware out like you do a computer, put the new hardware in?
There's tons of cameras that go all over the car. It's the whole new software. There's a new brain inside the computer, inside the car. It's not worth doing.
So the level of AI coming with the new models is where they get you.
Probably. So I'm not sure how much more advanced it's going to be. They're rolling out the full autonomous driving car. I guess they've gotten the federal approval to do this. This is where they couldn't come out with a full self-driving car for the longest time because the government was like, no, you can't do that. Like, it might not be safe. So I guess they finally have gotten to the point where they can do that. But I think all the Model S's that are on the road now that have that AV2 and 2.5 can actually do that, or they'll get the upgrade, but then the price of Autopilot's going to go up. They're thinking it's going to be $10,000 now instead of $8,000. So, and then they've also offered a plaid mode, which is faster than ludicrous. It does 0 to 60 in less than 2 seconds, which is absolutely insane. I can't even imagine what that would feel like.
Yeah.
But you're going to need to buy the better car to get that mode. So they keep adding in these really crazy things. And I think the new one has a third motor in it. So I guess it's 2 in the rear, 1 in the front. It's usually how that goes. So it's supposed to be
Interesting.
Supposed to make it faster. But they're also changing the anode material in the battery. So the part about what is the graphite that usually holds it, they're trying to put this lithium inside of a silicon, because silicon has 9 times more lithium than whatever they're pulling it from now. So when they do that, they have to go through this whole process to keep the lithium in there, because when you do the process in the battery back and forth with silicon, it becomes gooey, and the battery just doesn't work anymore. So they're working on a process to use silicon instead of wherever they're pulling it from now. And batteries are also a part of the structure of a Tesla now. so they can fit more batteries
in the frame, right?
In the frame, so the car becomes like more stable, and it becomes more agile. So going around a corner, there's not as much flex because there's not a battery that's attached to it, causing it to move. So they've removed about 370 parts. Also makes it cheaper. It goes back to the $25,000 Tesla, and it becomes more efficient, so they can travel longer because they can fit more batteries in different places. And it's also tabless, so they can just kind of stick them on top of each other, sort of, kind of, and then create cells that way. So, yeah, all of that going with Tesla. So they're, I mean, that is like probably one of the greatest things for, I guess, the technology world in general, because they've re-innovated the battery, basically, or the lithium-ion battery, which goes in everything like our computers, our phones, all this stuff, our watches now, you know, all these different things are now could use this lithium-ion process that they're working on.
Nice.
So you could see higher profit margins for phones in the future, just all things like that. Tesla's like paving the way for it.
Nice.
So, but also, this is really great news because Cali is now going gasless, basically. They're not using gas-powered cars anymore. By the year 2035, there will be no new gas-powered cars in the state of California.
I can't believe that that's going to actually, like, not be changed by that time. Like, it seems ridiculous.
I mean, like, if it was like 5 years ago, I would have said no way that this is happening. But now, I mean, I really feel like it could happen because Ford has their new Mustang Mach-E.
I just can't believe that the combustible engine is going to die. You know what I mean? Like, we had this conversation. Remember when I said it's now going to go reverse? It's going to be that the people with the combustible engines, the gas-powered engines, are now the ones that are looked at as like luxury.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that like, ooh, you got a gas-powered car? You must be doing good. You know, right now it's, oh, you got a Tesla? You must be doing good. But when that becomes the mainstream, and we put higher emission standards on cars, and there's higher gas prices, and not as many people are in demand for that type of crude oil, they don't need it. So once that happens, then having it, but still having the availability to get the product that they need to run it, still needs to be available. So it's stupid. It's stupid to think that that's going to be something that is going to be eliminated.
Yeah. But so, like, I mean, originally I would have said this would never happen because people wouldn't want to make gas-powered cars or stop making them because they were so profitable.
Yeah.
But now Ford is making their Mustang Mach-E, and then they're also working on a hybrid F-150. And then GM is just partnered up with Nikola, so they're doing their semi-truck, and they're also working on an electric Hummer. So they have all these electric cars. Volkswagen had a problem with like emissions a while ago. They got in a lot of trouble because they weren't doing the standards that were like set for the automotive industry. So now they're coming out with an electric car. So all these companies are coming out with these electric cars, and society has shifted towards more green products. So people are just they're accepting it now, and it's starting in California. So, and then also China is saying they're going to go carbon neutral by 2060. So all of these modern day ideas that we want are pretty much coming true through the free market.
Well, I mean, to claim to have something done in 40 years, what's going to change even by that time? You know, what technologies are going to be built on top of 5G and like just alter the path that we're on and how we think, you know? So like people saying that they're going to do something in that amount of time, they might as well just have held that statement to themselves, in my opinion. You know, to project something that far out is almost impossible.
Yeah, they're saying they're going to peak at like 2030 for how much carbon they're pumping out, and then after that it's supposed to drop down to zero. So I don't know how they're going to do that. There's a lot of companies right now working on AIs that track carbon emissions and where you can implement certain practices to reduce it. So, I mean, is it possible? By 2060, probably. I think technology would have caught up to the point where it might be able to capture carbon and not let it go into the atmosphere. I don't know though, but that's just like
what problems are we going to have that put that on the back burner? Who knows, right?
See,
So-
that's a country saying it, so I'm a little more skeptical about that. But whenever you see these companies like Tesla moving the electric cars, and then they're making advancements in batteries, like we were just talking about, and then you have all these other auto manufacturers that are moving towards green, because they're like a majority of the carbon pollution or they're not a majority, but they're a part of the carbon pollution into our atmosphere. And the fact that they're moving all to gas or electric powered cars means that countries are going to have to catch up with the free market, because that's the only way that we're seeing change, because it just takes too long in politics to get stuff moving.
And, you know, with my experience on the board of directors here with the local association, I know for a fact that it takes, I mean, I've been on committee and now the board, and I'm about to enter leadership in the next 2 years. And you're right, man. It's just so hard for a group of people to decide on the change that's necessary in a manner that makes any sense.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. It's really, truly unbelievable.
Yeah, but then when you start a business that creates that change, it goes so much faster, because it's just, you have one focus instead of like a million.
Yeah.
So I think it's possible. I don't know about China doing it in 2060 unless they get help from a bunch of other businesses.
Yeah. They're going to need private sector buy-in to help, because, you know, China is not interested in environmental protection from what I can tell, you know, so.
Yeah. So I guess we're moving on to our fun topics now.
Cool.
I guess not like fun topics, but they're just like random things I couldn't figure out where to fit them in at.
Yeah.
This is Sherwin-Williams,
Back to
new
something
color.
real estate related. You know, we spent, 20 minutes on something, that's not something that we're interested in. You know, we're investors in Tesla, and, we appreciate that company. So we kind of went off onto a sidebar here, but let's get back on the real estate track.
Yeah. So this is their new color. I think it's this wall right here. It's like they call it urban bronze.
Nice.
Like a
I actually
grayish,
really like that.
grayish bronze color.
I've been like really on top of like gunmetal. I've been telling people to go gunmetal, and that's like a gunmetal type of color. I even like the name.
We were talking about putting that in the new space next door for the backdrop.
Yeah.
We would just have to see how it's like really shiny right here on this part that's like sticking up.
Yeah.
This trim. Well, we have to figure out a way to eliminate that. Just because it's showing glare.
Yeah.
So if we have like a bunch of studio lights in there, that would be all over the wall.
Right.
And then it wouldn't even be that color anymore. So we just have to figure out how to paint it matte.
We get a matte version of that.
Yeah. Well, see, I don't know if they have a matte version of that.
Well, hit Sherwin-Williams website. I think there's a Sherwin-Williams store in Christiansburg. Like we can start taking color samples to them, or like email them or whatever. I mean, like that's a great color. There's no doubt that's a great color.
Yeah.
I definitely paint the new space. Yeah, we got a new space we're working on. Beginning of 2021, we're going to be shifting out of our little office here into a little bigger space that we got connected right to the office. So, we are kind of working on the design and debating, that type stuff. So I like that color. I'd be interested in what other people have to say about that color. Yeah, I like it.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, so what do you think about this Amazon putting a spy drone in people's houses?
Man, if it worked out for like what it was intended to work out for, like home security, like at night you got somebody intruding in the house, and the drones pop out of their docks, and they're like looking for intruders, and you can you get a notice on your phone, and you can go and grab your firearm if need be. But if somebody hacks, on the reverse side of it, if you don't have the right security and they hack in on you, then they can like identify the spaces that might be vulnerable for you, and like what to look out for. So like, deep down in me, I've got a little conspiracy theorist in me, and like I'm skeptical of like this type stuff, but I also want, I like that idea if it works right.
Yeah, so I just pulled that up for the viewers so that way they can see what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Amazon owns the company Ring, which is like a home security system. And then they've added this part in there, so if they know an intruder has broken in, or there's like some unexpected movement going on from like one of like, I guess, the motion sensors, it shoots this little drone out of its docking station, and then it flies to wherever that is in your house. So I thought it was cool, but at the same time I also think it was pretty scary. So because if it gets hacked,
Yeah.
then people can spy on you.
You just need to have a better password than password.
Yeah.
You know, have a better password than 1, 2, 3, 4.
I keep a baseball bat on me at all times in case that thing starts moving when it's not supposed to. Just hit it out of the air.
Right.
But at the same time, it's also really expensive. I think they said it was like $250.
I think
that's an expensive $250.
The third generation will be like an Echo. You know, it'll probably come way down.
Probably.
But that is actually a very interesting. Like if you have a big house and you have valuable things in it, that would be very convenient. You know, if it could roll through, if it detected motion, if it could roll through and show you what's going on in your house, you know exactly what to do at that point. So I like it. I would actually buy that if I had the means, or if I had the house that needed something like that. I'd probably be a purchaser of that.
You could purchase it for the office.
Yeah.
So like if someone was to break in, that thing just flat. Because I mean, no one's living here, so it's not a.
And honestly,
big deal.
those security cameras we have up, they're not that great. Like that would probably be better than the 2 security cameras we have up.
Probably that could be the security camera for the office.
Yeah.
It just flies. It just flies around.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's all the. That's everything that we had to talk about. So.
Right on. Well, all right. So that was episode 14. I think we did pretty good. Honestly, I'll tell you, I wasn't super prepared. You know, I came in. I had a lot going on this week. I was kind of concerned that I wanted to have more to say than what I did. But I think we did good. And we got Derek Nowin coming on next week, and that's we like getting Derek on the show and getting his perspective on things. So we're gonna have a great show for you. Our format, like I said in the show, like we're debating and trying to figure out like how we're gonna evolve and trying to get more viewers here. So like if you guys could help us out, we would really appreciate any comments or questions or sharing or liking, like anything you can do to help us like expand our reach on this show. We would really appreciate that. And I guess until next time, we'll see you then.